Hi, everyone. We're here at the Lean in Pakistan headquarters at the Barak Center, all excited for our Lean in Pakistan Foundation story number 13, featuring the incredible Ambreen Kokab, who's, of course, chair of the Lean in Pakistan IT Circle. And she's going to talk more about that. She has a background of 10 years in telecom, and now she's her own consulting firm, which is an incredible journey that will be interviewed and shared by the amazing Margaret Fialho, who is the member of the Lean in Pakistan Wellbeing Circle. So, hi everyone, and wishing you both the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Tara. Well, a very, very good afternoon. My name is Margaret Fialho, and I'm a proud member of the Lean in Pakistan Wellbeing Circle. I'm a neurolinguistic programming life coach. I specialize in timeline therapy, self development. Emotional intelligence is what I've facilitated people in their journey, and much more. Today, I'm here with Ambreen Kokab, and this one word, and this it's a very, very interesting journey of Ambreen. And if I talk about this sentence or word, which is futuristic technology, is when we, will know more about Ambreen in this very, very interesting sector. So, very warm welcome, Ambreen. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you, Margaret, and thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to share my story.
Beautiful. So, Ambreen, please tell us about yourself. What are you currently doing, and about your circle as well.
Okay, so if I introduce myself, I'm a technology and transformation consultant by profession. I'm also, as you mentioned, I'm a futurist by passion, and I'm a professional advisor because I like to give, advice in tech careers. I'm also a global ambassador at Women Tech Network, where I speak on the international conferences very often. And as you know, like I'm a tech circle chair at Lean in Pakistan. So my experience with Lean in Pakistan has been amazing, and I think to thank you so much to Tara for actually providing the opportunity to leading some couple of sessions where we had a great fun at Barak Center, and I think it's a powerful community where we learn from each other's experiences. And I think this initiative also of storytelling is huge. There's a lot of knowledge sharing and experiences and learnings involved for all of us. So great to be.
Beautiful. Amrina, I'm a firm believer that, when we were children back in our childhood. So if we move back, a little behind, um, in behind this, behind the scenes, I'm aware that you were an explorer as a child. So can you share some light on that?
Yes, yes. By explorer as a child, I actually mean that I was interested in doing a lot of things. I used to be involved and used to get involved in a lot of things, as a child. So, for example, if I was in school, I was, I was participating in competitions and events. I was also briefly into sports. If I used to travel up north, I used to go and catch those children of the children moving around and talk to them and try to learn their languages. I used to love painting. I think I remember I've done a lot of painting when I was as a child. So I mean, explorer as a child, I think I've at that time whatever book I used to find at home, I try to just read it, because these days you don't get time to read and you have to a lot of time to read. And that time, I used to explore almost every book I had at home. Uh, so this kind of explorer nature I had from the very beginning, and sort of adventurous, which actually has led me to wonderful experiences in my life as of now. Yeah.
Fantastic, Amreen. Thank you for sharing. So, Amreen, moving on, when we say futuristic technology, how did this journey start? Being female in technology in the corporate world. So, what were the highs and lows? And can you share some of that, please?
Yes. So if you take me back to where I was to take some decision, with respect to my career. I remember that I had a lot of flair for physics. I had a lot of flair for mathematics, And although mathematics was actually, you can say, part of almost every industry or every field that you enter in, my flair or my spark for physics was very strong. And my mother wanted me to be a chartered accountant, and but I didn't want to have that desk job, which is something that makes you stick at one place. So as I said that I was an explorer. I was a energized person, so I liked to uh, you know uh, be someone, or have a career which was adventurous, which was something that challenged me, and made me move around. So it actually led me to choose the field of telecommunications, and that's how I
Beautiful.
started my career in telecom. And then, although I had a love for studying business and actually doing MBA from IBA, but then I thought that, okay, to fulfill that passion of physics and engineering, let's do telecom and then go to the business side. So yeah, after my bachelor's in telecom, I did my executive MBA from IBA, and this combination actually really worked for me. So when I look at the futuristic technologies, just recently I joined this AI and analytics area in my company, which has actually piqued my interest in promoting these technologies, and also
Wow.
making me realize that that these technologies are not just a B2B space. It's also a B2C space where, of course, we as individuals are very much impacted, and we need to be proactively knowledgeable about these technologies. So this has actually led me to start my own consulting firm, Ux Consulting Space, back in 2020, to educate and train individuals around technologies. Maybe I'll talk more on this.
Wow, Ambreen, thank you for being an inspiration. Such a fantastic journey. Can you share more on the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, or just about how was it basically? Like, what was the X factor that you thought that you had to make this change?
Yes, actually, so when I joined Executive MBA, and I was going through this entire journey of my MBA back in IBA, I was exposed to a lot of experiences, new ideas, and even journeys of entrepreneurs, which actually inspired me that a common person like me, or a common individual who has just looked at the world, started checking out the world, can actually enter the space, or enter into venturing, and build a name of his or her own, and not only that, but also impact people around them. So for this, I actually started looking at what interests me the most. So what was actually my niche, I'd say. And for that, I had been volunteering. I had been actually going places to explore, as I said, that to understand what my interest is. So and for that, I also, because I had this leadership aspect in me quite a lot. I had this entire corporate experience where I have been managing, or you can say handling projects single-handedly quite many times. So having that aspect of chaos, and knowing how I can manage that, I thought that it would be good to explore around this community. I also joined the US program, Atlas Core program, for the same reason, because there I got educated on social entrepreneurship. And so I built upon this Ux consulting space, which was actually the idea where I wanted to combine what I have as an expertise, that is technology, and how I can impact the people socially. So, and at that time, because these futuristic technologies, the boom of AI was quite strong, and it was very powerful because of this, this whole big data entering into the space. So I thought that this is the right time to start this, and also impact the people, try to explain people what digital transformation is all about, and how we need to actually move from our old ways of working into the new ways of working. And also with this entire COVID aspect, which was actually transforming and accelerating digital transformation. So I thought that this will be the niche of mine. So I started building upon that.
Wow, Ambreen, this is so amazing. What a
Thank you.
diverse journey. You also mentioned in terms of your like taking a leap of faith or just getting into things because of course you had the passion for it. Who was your inspiration, and what were your learnings, or what was the guidance towards who you are today and what you're doing?
Yeah, so uh, if I go back to my childhood and the way I'm brought up, I think my best inspiration is my mother, because I think what I've learned from her and from her entire struggle experience and her story of so much struggle is that you shouldn't be giving up, in the face of challenges. You shouldn't be giving up hope in the face of challenges. You should always strive for solutions, when you're faced with problems and issues. And I think that has inspired me a long way, that has motivated me a long way, and that has also sort of inspired me into always coming out of my comfort zone, in the face of those challenges. And actually I believe that uh, if you are transformed on the other side of those challenges, then that is the reason of that is, I think, the peak of success for you as an individual. May not be for the world, but for you as an individual, because you have achieved or you have overcome some barriers. So yeah, I mean, coming back to your question of inspiration. So other than my mother, of course, when you are looking into the tech world, you also want to have some kind of role models, and you would like to also have some role models, not only in technology but also in entrepreneurship. So I think if I talk about that, uh, we at that time when I was started looking into role models in tech, I hardly could find the ones who could be, so prominent, or who could be so, you can say, very, very, very impacting. But I did have male role models in tech, of course, like Elon Musk. Elon Musk used to inspire me a great deal. His way of working and his work ethic, and then the achievements, that accomplishments that he has achieved. Of course, Steve Jobs, I'd say, is an innovator, but I
Wow.
think Elon Musk is a pioneer of technology, and of course we have Bill Gates and all that. But so my struggle, or my you can say my research on looking for female role models didn't end there. So I wanted to look into that, and I have come across pretty much some role models. Like if I talk about Pakistan, because Pakistan has started becoming a hub of entrepreneurship, technologies, and whatnot. I think Jahan Ara has been impacting us for quite some time
Yes,
in the tech
indeed.
space. And I think she has developed this whole startup hub for Pakistan, which is, sort of become a very good example. And Sadaf Abed is doing a great deal of work when it comes to, innovating technology and also digital inclusion. Because for me, digital inclusion, where I bring women into technology, and which is why I am into Lean In and to promote women in technology, was actually my inspiration from Sadaf Abed. So yeah, that I think these are great deal of inspirations for me along the way, and I've learned a lot from them. I think I'm learning. I'm going to find more role models, and I believe that every person who is doing great work in technology is a role model for all of us. Yeah,
Absolutely. And now you have created so many, everyone who is watching you is so inspired by you. And so am I, Ambreen. The
thank
fact
you.
to just have a very empowered mindset, I believe that once we think we know everything, that's where the learning stops. But what I'm getting from all of this, Ambreen, is that you have the passion to learn, to be inspired, and to also aspire is a huge deal. So congratulations. Such a brilliant journey.
Thank you so much.
Amreen, you're welcome. So, Amreen, going back into the
Thank you
corporate
so much.
world, you're welcome, Amreen. Thank you. So, going back into the corporate world, I have a question here. In terms of the consultations that you did mention before, in terms of the local and international markets, can you share some experience on that?
Yes, Margaret, thank you for that question. So I'd like to tell that I have over 12 years of diversified corporate experience in the telecom industry, and mainly in the wireless industry. So back when I began with my graduation. So when I did back in 2010, I joined Suparco, and which is a satellite agency, and where I worked as assistant manager in systems engineering section. But I worked there for 11 months. The thing was that it was a feasibility study role, and what I wanted, as you know, is a lot of action into my world. So I actually was looking for that, and I decided to look for other career areas. And in 2011, I remember I joined Ericsson Pakistan, and here in Ericsson Pakistan, I got a great deal of opportunity to actually learn and also promote my consultation in the local and the international player among the local and international players. So I have worked with local players like Jazz, Zong, and Varit, which used to be at that time. Then in the international world, I have been doing assignments with Oman Tel, Orido, and as I mentioned, that just recently I joined this new area. So, as part of this role, which is a regional role, I have been able to actually provide AI solutions and consultation to regional customers. So, involving Zain Iraq, Mobile, uh, MTN Ghana, Orido Qatar. So, and mainly in like designing optimization and wireless networks, also in pre-sale service delivery and managed services. So yeah, I mean, these are my experiences when it comes to the corporate career
Beautiful.
journey. Apart from this,
Beautiful.
if sorry, you're saying something?
No, I was just complimenting your journey, but please carry on.
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention that, of course, when you're growing up as a woman in tech, you come across a lot of experiences which make you question sometimes that you are part of a male-dominated industry, and if that's the case, you may be lacking opportunities, and you might have to show up yourself at times when you didn't even feel like. So yes, that's been my case as well. I very clearly remember that when I was given the opportunity to lead a team, it was very difficult for my team to accept me as a female leader, and I struggled with that for quite many months. And what I actually had to prove myself at was, I think, the customer, because I believe that if the customer is acknowledging your work, if the customer is appreciating you for your work, everyone appreciates you, because customer is the boss, customer is the king. And somehow it worked for me as well, and I think I have been able to prove myself when it comes to female leadership in the project. And alhamdulillah, it paved a lot of ways for me, a lot of areas for me to go from there, and I've grown from there, alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Brilliant, Ambreen. Thank you for sharing. Brilliant. So, in all of this, how do you manage work-life balance? What
Yeah,
is your?
that's a good question. If you remember, I was discussing this back with you as well some time ago. That work-life balance has always been a thing for me. I think what I'd like to really say is that this COVID has come to us as uh, it had a lot of cons, and it had a lot of pros as well. So when I look back to a 9 to 5 job, I think majority of my work day was taken up by my work and interactions with my colleagues and everything related to my profession, career. And I used to think that I don't give a lot of time at home to my family, my mother. So I think when COVID started and when this work from home thing started, I was able to give a lot of time at home as well, and I was able to actually reflect on how I can achieve work-life balance. So I think it became so important for me to prioritize my folks' needs, to prioritize my family issues and what I can contribute, because maybe earlier if I wasn't contributing, then it became important for me, and a prioritized aspect. So I started doing that, and I feel very satisfied that I have been able to
Yes.
do, because working from home gives you a lot of space to not only be productive, but then also be more aware of the needs around you. So yeah, I think work from home has played a quite a role for me when it comes to being more productive and balancing my work life.
Brilliant, Ambreen. Yes, and I do agree with you. Family is priority, and that is the way of life, of course. So, Amreen,
Definitely.
Yes, Ambreen, I'm very high on values as a person myself. So, what are your values? What are your learnings? What are the values that have taken you forward in your journey, and the values that you really, really hold very close to your heart to keep you
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, I think, Margaret, for me, very importantly, respect plays a huge role in my life, because I firmly believe that giving respect will always earn you respect, and
Absolutely.
uh, you know, and it also builds up your relationships. You know, it also builds value in your interactions. So I believe that respect is foremost for me, and I believe transparency in communication, transparency in actions, because for me this goes a long way. It not only builds trust among among your interactions, or with your relationships, but then it also keeps clarity for you as a person, as an
Yes.
individual, and you do not hold yourself guilty of anything, or you actually know that this is your strong value, and it won't actually impact any of your interactions in the future. So I think transparency is also very dear to me. And another thing I'd say, Margaret, here is not taking granted any of your relationships or any of your
Mm,
interactions, because this is something that we've started doing quite a lot, and we don't value people. We don't value even the smallest things that people do has a lot of value, and we may consider them as doing something very insignificant for us. But I believe that if we start giving value to these small contributions, to these small interactions, again they would go a long way for us, not only as a
oh,
person, but also
yes.
as a community, also as our network.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
these are
Spot
some of
on.
the.
Spot on. That is so well said. So, in connection to this question, what is your definition of success, Amreen? How do you define success? What is
Yeah, so
success for you?
yeah, I think I mentioned that for me, success is always coming out of your comfort zone, and when you're faced with challenges, and if you think that maybe you won't be able to cope up with those challenges or those barriers, but then you hold yourself, and you still believe that you can overcome it. Those strong beliefs of you, of yourself, I think is a success, because you are actually defining yourself. Those are those defining moments for us, as individuals. So I think when you feel transformed after overcoming those challenges is where you achieve success. So I think this is what success for me is, as a definition of it.
Beautiful. And did you always have this mindset, or did it change over the years? And what made it change over the years?
Uh, yes, it did change for me over the years, and as I said, that I have been inspired by my mother all along, and I think even in a day, when I feel okay, my day is an accomplished day or not. Uh, for me, it's important that if in a day I have been able to accomplish things, uh, and been able to overcome the issues during the day. So slowly and slowly, I developed this skill within me. This was not very strong maybe earlier, because maybe success maybe for us could be achieving certain degree, achieving certain position, or landing some good salaried job. But I think that over time, these things did change for me, and this mindset completely changed in the sense that these things come and go. But if you are as a person built up strong inside, then I think you can achieve anything. Sky is the limit for you, and you need to do that and believe in yourself. I think this thing also strengthened for me when I joined these ladies communities, like Ladies Fun, like Been in Pakistan, this women tech network, and these things so strengthen this concept within me, that success for you shouldn't be these titles or these uh, materialistic stuff, uh, and also building up this community with people and addressing their issues, and listening to their problems and reflecting those in your lives, also defines success for us in so many ways.
Beautiful, Ambreen. Thank you for sharing. So we have the last 2 minutes left. Here's the golden question for you. What is your experience in Lean in Pakistan? Um, how has it been for you? What were your learnings, aspirations, inspirations? Can you share some light, please?
Sure. So, Lean in Pakistan has been a great platform for me to actually start exploring on how a community of women can impact each other, can impact a woman or the professional career or professional experience of a woman. Back when I started off with Tara on Lean in Pakistan, and I got the opportunity to chair the tech circle. Um, I was very excited to actually conduct these you can say workshops where I was actually talking to women, empowering them, and asking them questions, very tough questions, like what would you do if you wouldn't be afraid? What limits would you like to go to if you wouldn't be having any kind of limits or any kind of hurdles in front of you? And these things also gave me opportunity to connect with a lot of women of inspiring fields, inspiring careers. And just recently I also conducted interviews
Okay,
with role models in technology, and those added
beautiful.
on to me as my interactions with the female role models in tech. So I think it was a great experience, great learning, and great platform for me to grow as an individual and to inspire others, in technology.
Beautiful. Ambreen, you're such an all rounder. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for
Margaret, for your
such a
comments, kind comments.
You're welcome, and thank you for such a beautiful dialogue. And yes, have a beautiful day ahead of you.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for having me and your very kind comments. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Take good care of yourself,
Thank you.
Amreen.